Hello and welcome back to another episode of 50 Things That I Do for Fun. In this case, it is the walls. After I did the floors, I of course have to provide you guys with some walls as well, because you can't just make a house with a floor, you also need walls. And therefore I made 50, once again 50 walls, and these walls are for interior only, so these are what you see in the inside of your house. I won't go over what you see on the outside. So these are 50 walls, so let's get right into it, or else this video is going to be way too long. Before we start, just a little quick note: all of these walls can of course be expanded in width or in height, which makes them probably more usable as well, but I want to have the same format by 5 by 5, so therefore it's still, well, rather compact. So the first one is just two pillars with some trapdoors and some stairs on top, and behind that there's oak planks or any planks with stairs in the middle for the line, and down here there's another log with signs on top of it. This one is a very easy one. It's just two pillars you have with stripped logs and then some normal planks in between. You can switch up some colors and to have some more variation in your coloring, and then have signs go like 2, 1, 1, 2, 2, 1, and so on. Next up is very similar to the last one, but instead I use a block of bamboo on both sides, and in the middle the same as before, but instead of using only planks there's also some birch logs or any other logs, and instead of using the 1, 2, 1, 2, I did 2 down here, 1 and 2 back on top, and then a button in the middle to have like a real wavy thing going on. This one is rather easy in design. It's very simple. It's more of like a simplistic build thing for like a maybe like an old cottage or whatever, with the barrels going stripe by stripe and then on the log to fill the stripe in between. I'm not very positive about the bottom and the top part here, which is in this case composters, but I feel like you can do logs or anything else. It will look a little bit better. And I'm more convinced about this one with the composters. It looks like one of those cottages you have in like a fort with those logs that are like built up, and that's why the composter is such a good design here. And on the bottom there's a big log, and on top there's also a big log, and some stairs being switched off by spruce fence gates. And there's some extra lights. There is some fences with a lantern. In the middle you can have any glass you want, or just fill it up with maybe a wall, like a stone wall, or any other blocks that you want. Next up, I wanted to use more of the pale oak wood, since that's a new block, well, relatively new block, and I'm trying to find some use case for it, and I think this one is pretty special. It's very simplistic with the two pillars on the side again, with trapdoors covering it, a fence, another pillar here, and then here in like a checker pattern kinda, the pale oak log, with like being vertical and horizontal, and then just a strip oak log going across with buttons on top and signs on the last block over there. Then we just have a cross pattern with barrels and fence in the middle. Behind that there's just some logs to cover up the fence, but we can also leave it open. This one's fairly simple. It's just a pillar in the middle going outwards in all directions. You can also have another trapdoor over here with this block over here, something like this, and then you basically have the same pattern going everywhere. Behind it is not only the mangrove wood, but there are also some note blocks here to give some extra detail to the entire thing. Then there are some pillars here, the Sherwood pillars with the acacia logs and acacia stairs, and some signs and acacia on the backs. So it's rather simplistic, but also rather pretty looking. It's special. And this one is also very special. It's not entirely made out of wood. There's some silver quartz block here, but you can substitute that out for anything else, like maybe another white block, or doesn't really matter to it. Maybe you can just have it as one pillar of wood. I just wanted to show you what else you can do. And then behind it there's a cross pattern of stripped crimson wood, some signs to cover the single blocks, and some signs to fill in the gaps. And we already arrived at our stone walls, and this one is a deep plate and a tuff combined. It's a very classic design, nothing too crazy, just some tuff and some chiseled tuff at the bottom. What you see is what you get, kind of. This one is a very old school design with the granite and the bricks, nothing too special, but I needed to include like the classic ones as well, you know. And this one is kind of like an advanced one to do that, with the polished basalt as the pillars and some exposed copper trapdoors on top with the buttons over there as well to like make it look more detailed. This one's more of a cave design. I'm not really gonna go over it, but it's mostly cobblestone, some stone and mostly cobblestone, and just like have it going from very thick to somewhat thinner on top. It's nothing too special, but something simplistic and looks very nice in general. Then add some moss blocks as well to add extra details to it. Well, another very simplistic stone wall design with If you look at it, it's basically the same as the second wood wall with the 2-1-2-1, but then instead of the signs, it is instead full blocks and you fill it in with the walls to make it feel a little bit more interesting. And then we get to the more complex wall design. This one is a stone brick at the back, and then there's some smooth redstone stairs. I had to state this a lot more than I'm willing to admit. You fill those things in on the corners and also on top of the 2 pillars and the bottom of 2 pillars. And you have some buttons to have more of a gradient going on, and you fill the top part of with some tough bricks. This one is more of a very dark castle design with the deep slate tiles and deep slate bricks, with the deep slate brick slabs on the bottom and some walls to add some more depth into the build itself. The stairs on top and then the slabs switching the top stairs and not the bottom stairs to have like a little gap that adds more detail into the wall itself, and use the iron bars as windows. This one is a rather special one. It's up to you if you like this or not. Yeah, I think it can work depending on what the environment is like. If it is a very rock environment or like an industrial environment, then this could be like a pretty special one. I will leave like a couple gaps in between like the walls. So it's not like 1, 1, 1, 1, but maybe like 1 and then 3, 1, 3. Something like that would look nicer. But I think this looks pretty decent for what it is. And it is of course a block floor copper and granite wall, with on top of it is some copper trapdoors and granite stairs. This is more of a jail wall, so these are all like kind of jail cells. And it's also a very moist area with the pale hanging moss, indicating that there's also wetness going on, as well as with the glow light, and adds more to the detail of the wall. And on top you can of course have the stairs or just some random debris going on. And to keep going with the prison, this could maybe be an expansion to that wall, where you eventually also have the calcite on top to make it look a little bit more luxurious, I guess. I don't know if that's the right word. And then you also can have some chains dropping from the ceiling, and some moss and glow lichen growing against the wall as well. Then we got the wood and stone combination, and this one is rather simple with the stone and stone bricks and the gravel, and also with the spruce wood and the barrels at the bottom with the buttons, adding a little bit more relief to it. And this one is almost as simple as the last one, except there's 2 pillars on the side and some stairs and some trapdoors with the wall behind it, so it doesn't look as empty. We will further expand on that. This one has that rain colors as well to add some more texture to the build, add some light as well, some fences, and on top there's campfires and trapdoors going in a small little archway with the spruce fence gate adding extra to it. This one also has an archway with the stone going being the arc and the wall being made out of wood, and a small little flowering area to add a little bit of greenery into this entire thing. It's a very simple design, but it looks pretty. Then over here we got, well, kind of the same thing over there, but it goes more around, I would say. And the bottom part is stone only, and the top part is mostly made out of wood with the barrels, the stairs and trapdoors, and a lantern in the middle to extra light. The chain going to the fence, into the wall, into the block, and then the stairs block and the button in the middle. Then the middle part is mostly some oak logs, some stairs going around in like in each corner with the trapdoors combining all the stairs together. And on the back there's some chests for maybe if you want to have some storage everywhere. And behind that there's just some more stone bricks. Oh, it's quite a mouthful, but this one's also a small mouthful, and that is because it has warp stem, warp trapdoors, warp fence, and a soul lantern. But there's also white terracotta, or you can add some stone or stone brick, whatever you want. Then the mud bricks is in a pattern, a special pattern. You can decide the pattern on your own, but this is a pattern I think works the best for a 5x5. If you want to copy this pattern, it's basically a stair going this way, then a slab above it, a slab in between it, and then 2 walls, and then you do the same thing but then reversed. So slabs there. Very simple, but it looks pretty. And watermelon is that? Yeah, that's indeed a watermelon wall. It's not really wood, it's not really stone, but I thought it was funny. So I added it, and it goes very well with the warp stairs and the warp logs, and as well with the mossy stone. It's really nice, and it finally gives your watermelon farm a purpose, you know. And then we have the deep slate arc, or deep slate circle, I would almost say, with some warped hypia at the back, and also, I didn't know it was called hypia, that's special. And also a trapdoor up. And there was a trapdoor there. Okay. And trapdoor with a light behind it. Similar to that one, but a little bit more blockery going on top. There's a lot of bricks and 2 levers holding up the top part here. A brick wall in the middle with the strip jungle wood going around it. A wall here with light to give extra light, and some deep laid brick walls with potteries on top of it to give extra detail to the build, and basalt at the bottom for your foundation. And then we got this cross. Yes, it's a cross. But I think it looks very beautiful if you copy this pattern all over again, and then you have like some kind of like metal beams kind of look with the cross going on. As well with the copper trapdoors, it adds a little bit more dam to the build, I guess. I'm not quite sure. On the back of it is a block of raw iron and raw copper to add more of a raw feeling to the wall itself. This one is very simple, you can add more text to it, but this is your classic indoor modern house wall with loom at the bottom to mimic the plinths and a white terracotta as your wall color. And you've got more of an old school design with the steampunky vibe. It's just all different kind of deep plates, and then the lighting rods going up into a copper block, and then lighting rod going away like some kind of pipe, I guess. And this is more of a, well, I'm not quite sure what kind of vibe I'm searching for here, but it has a vibe. Maybe you can make this your library with some chiseled bookshelves around for some normal bookshelves, and you got yourself a fine, simple library wall. It is more of a desert wall. It's very simple. Red stands on bottom, then some normal sand all around, and then 2 walls switching up every gap. Then we got this thing. This is just some spruce logs with some spruce stairs and a cross of copper going into a copper bulb, which can also turn on, and 2 pillars of copper. Very simple, but it just works. This one's a little bit special. It's very similar to the last one with the 2 copper pillars, and the back of it is made out of wood. But this one also has some mud bricks going down here to add extra depth to the thing, and a mud brick wall and 2 lightning rods going into 1 waxed chiseled copper, which goes on its own turn into the ceiling with the deeply tile wall. Up here we got skulk and skulk vein to have a beautiful little gradient going downwards, and maybe the ceiling can be some skulk as well, some other dark block. This one's more fairy-like because it has water as a wall, and some mossy stone and normal stone going around it, and a stair and a slab holding together an amethyst block with some amethyst. But this is more of a, I would almost say maybe a kitchen or a bathroom wall with the weather cut copper on the bottom and some normal white block on top. Add some glass pane to it, maybe as a mirror or anything else, and it will look pretty nice. And once again we are going into the desert because this is a beautiful desert wall. You can have a lot of complexity going on with the stairs, putting at random locations, or just remove the stairs and copy the thing all together. These are all some small debris that you can add right next to it, or some little tables with the wall with the lantern. So basically your basic is just some sandstone going all around with the stairs on top and the trapdoors going into a slab, then 2 chains going down, and then all the other things is just what you want. This one is more of a, almost let's say like a dwarven forge wall. Very simplistic design with the brain coral and the gravel as pillars, and then a tuff up there together with the copper to add more of like a color coloration into the build. On the bottom there is some wax block of copper together with some raw iron to really enforce that forge feeling that you have in like a dwarven forge. Maybe add some fire into it and you're like complete. And we are on the final sprint, the final 10. Wow, it's really getting a long video. This one is rather simple. It's a little bit tricky to the end because it forces your brain to think that the blocks are like on a different location, but they're not, they're just above each other. But it looks like they're different because of the stairs. And that being said, there's 2 stairs over here. And on the bottom there is some smooth quartz and chiseled quartz, and the same thing on the top, and then add some smooth quartz below. This one is very classic as well. It is very similar to one that you saw earlier before, like the normal modern house look, but I guess this is more of a 1960s house look with the wood at the bottom, the very dark wood, then like the whitish grayish wall, and then on top there's some wall decoration, in this case buttons. And we've entered the back room officially, because this is exactly what you will see in the back rooms. It's a yellow wall, the bottom as well, some yellow with the stripped oak and the bamboo buttons, and there's just a bunch of banners as some kind of wallpaper. It's more of a greeny wall with the vines and moss blocks and the mossy bricks and such, as well with the copper down here and the brick walls going into fences. And also a very cool thing I noticed is that the cactus flowers can be put on top of fences, which makes it the first flower block or like any placeable block set for like torches and lanterns you can put on top of fences, which is very cool. And because I found that very cool, I decided to add a small little wall that looks like a flower and put the flowers as like extra decorations to it. So this is just like kind of like a floor pattern almost, with the oak thingies going on and like the yellow concrete as the middle part and also as the corner parts. Then the walls in the middle to add some extra greenery and the pink glazed terracotta to add the flower look to it. And we've entered another cave looking design with the barrels on top and dipstone going down and going up, and deep slate tiles on the bottom. You can also add some stripped pale oak wood at the back to give you an extra cavey vibe instead of calcite. You can also use calcite, but that's more expensive, I would say. I would also suggest adding like a pillar like this, and it will look way cooler than just having it blank like this. And then back to the more simplistic design is with the diorite on the bottom here. Some grey glazed terracotta, beautifully formed here with the beautiful cross design, and a grey concrete in the middle, kind of like a divider between all the patterns. Very simple design, but looks pretty nice. And another simple design is the light grey glazed terracotta going towards a sea lantern in the middle, which is rather expensive, but if you want to have a beautiful ice out, then this is probably a good thing for you. Also have packed ice and blue ice to have some color variation going on. And this one is, well, rather special, isn't it? It's a very green background. You can decide how you want to do that. I did it with some white weathered copper, some moss block and some lime terracotta, as well as some green concrete powder that adds a very beautiful green variation on the back. Then in front you basically just go ham. So you have strips spruce blocks on the top, and then you have some spruce fences and with some fence gates and other fences, and then just do a beautiful little motif. And then we finally got to our last wall. This one is very special. This one is rather I don't really know what kind of word I can add to this, but it has something magical attached to it. Don't you agree? It looks very magical. It has some pale oak stairs at the bottom, some stripped cherry woods as the pillars, and in front of that there's also some diorite walls which go into the pale oak stairs on top, and some trapdoors going all the way on top. And behind that there's some cyan glazed terracotta that have some extra creeper faces, and below that there's more pale oak trapdoors. Then the skull going into the skulk vein in front of the block of amethyst. And that's how you finish that thing. Wow, I haven't talked like this in ages. And I hope you also survived, just like how I survived. And I hope you got some inspiration out of one of these walls. I really hope you can use these as like a cheat code, kinda, for one of your builds, that you can come to this video and be like, oh yeah, so like one of those walls, maybe I can use that in my survival build or your creative build. And yeah, that's basically the entire purpose of this video, so I hope I achieved that purpose. And as always guys, have a wonderful day, and I'll see you guys in the next one. Goodbye!